The future of the role was in question heading into today's Commissioners Court meeting, but Smith County is moving forward with hiring a new budget officer, a role that's been vacant since September 1st, when the last budget officer resigned.
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
With that, Smith County Commissioners signed off on moving forward with a background check for the person they plan to hire as the new budget officer, with a salary range of about $93,000 to about $107,000.
It's time to get this going because April 1 is when we start budget.
The court interviewed the person they plan to hire behind closed doors today, where they also decided to pass on an order that would have abolished the role of budget officer and instead hire a budget analyst who would have worked under the auditor. The draft order was ready, but the court decided against it.
Well, I want to commend my colleagues for making the right choice. A budget officer position keeps that financial end separate from the auditor's office.
And while Commissioner Christina Drury was on board with hiring a budget officer, she was the lone vote against new budget software, with an annual cost of more than $24,000.
We already have software that works, and we're headed towards a new financial software in the future. And I think that we've had a lot of expenses come through court that we've approved outside of the approved budget. And at what point do you stop?
We've been using spreadsheets, and so we want to make it easier for our elected officials and department heads to develop their budgets, and this is a way for us to do so.
In court, Drury questioned whether this was an urgent need, expressing concerns with the April 1st target date for having the new software online.
I don't like things that are rushed. These are very critical pieces of software. This is a critical component to county government, and I think we should slow down and take time to think about these things and work through them properly instead of rushing.
The new software will be paid for using money already set aside to pay the county's budget officer, which again has been a vacant position